And congratulations, you have made it to the last video for our block 1 revision, although I might add another one with some questions to go through, like a little summary, but yeah, this is the last video about a topic. So integers. Now integers is an extension of our number line. So right now we should be quite comfortable with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, etc, etc, etc. And you could think on it this way as well. Oops, you could think on it up and down the way. This is how I have it in the class actually. I have it as a vertical number line, but you could think on it like this horizontally as well. And what we're going to do is reflect around the 0. We're going to have the same numbers, but this time they are negative numbers. Negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, etc. And that goes all the way on. Now, when does this really come up? Well, why is this useful? Well, the one that comes to my mind is money and temperature as well. If this to me looks almost like a very big thermometer. So there are some applications, and yeah, we'll think about some of the rules we need to learn. So probably the first thing, let's try and visualize this. Okay, let's do, say we've got a nice whole number. Let's say we've got 6 or 4, and let's say we want to add a number. Okay, say I've got 6 plus 3 or 4 plus 5. When you add, you go up the number line. Okay, this is where you start on the number line, and this means we're going up the number line by 3. So if I start on 6 and I've got 3, I go 1, 2, 3, which is 9. Or you could do it on this one, maybe it looks better up here, 9. 4 plus 5, start on 4 and go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the exact same rule with negative numbers. So if I've got, say I start on negative 3 and I want to add 4, or I've got negative 6 and I want to add 9, we start on those numbers and we go up by that amount. Okay, so we start here and we go up that amount. And to me, that's a little bit like saying, you know, the temperature is negative 3 degrees, but it's now risen by 4 degrees. So the temperature was this, and it's gone up by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that becomes, oops, don't know why I did that. That becomes 1. The temperature was negative 6 degrees, and it's now gone up 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. To give me 3. Now that way you can think on that is to actually visualize the two numbers. You could think on your negatives as you know, little negative coins, okay? And think of your positives as like positive coins. 1, 2, 3. And negatives and positives cancel each other out. So then you're just counting what's left. So if I've got plus 4 would be 4 positives, negative 3 is 3 negatives. Okay, well there's my 4 positives and my 3 negatives. They cancel out, so I'm just left with 1 positive. It's the same as 1. You could go down here and say, okay, negative 6, that's the same as 6 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I've got 9 positives. I'll draw that with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they're all positive. Positives and negatives cancel each other out. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll cancel out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm just left with 3 positives. So there's a few different ways to think about it. What if, though, is a little bit harder? What if we say we've got, we'll start with a positive number, 3, and we are taking away negative 2. So last time we were adding, in fact, forget that, we'll come back there, forget that. Sorry, apologies. Before we do that, I just want to do another one where we go down the number line. So say we start on, let's say we start on 7 and 4. If I was to take away 3 or take away 9, it just means going down the number line. So 7 take away 3, there's my 7. Take away 1, 2, 3, that'll give me 4. And 4 take away 9, there's my 4. Take away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Take me on to negative 5. And you can think on that the same way as I said before with the discs as well. Positive and the negatives. You get 7 positives, 3 negatives, so you're going to have 4 positive discs left. So that's us discussed using the number line, where we maybe start on a negative number or finish on a negative number. But all we've done so far is just add and subtract whole numbers. So let's think about adding and subtracting negative numbers. So I'll make a little space over here. So what if I was to say 5 add negative 2? Well, if you think about it the way I visualized it before, that's 2 negatives. So I'm going to add 2 negatives to 5 positives. Positives and negatives cancel each other out, so those two would cancel out those two, and I'm left with 3. And that's because when we add a negative, it becomes a takeaway. I always think that it's like the positive and negative get into a fight, and the negative always wins. Okay, so if you've got one negative in the question, you'll have one negative in the answer. Let's try another one. Let's say we've got negative 4, and I'm going to take away, so I'm going to add negative 5. Well, that's going to become negative 4, take away 5. I go to a number line, negative 4, take away 1, 2, 3, take away another 2. It's going to bring me down to negative 9. Okay. So when you add a positive, it becomes, so when you add a negative, it becomes a negative. If you add a negative, you get a negative. The other thing you might get is taking away a negative. So say I've got 6 and I'm going to take away negative 2. Well, this rule is 2 negatives make a positive. Okay, or I should have just done that next line. 2 negatives make a positive when they're right next to each other. So if I was to say negative 4 take away negative 3, well, these two negatives that are next to each other, they make a positive. So that'll be negative 4 plus 3. And all you do is say, well, I'm starting negative 4 as we're starting the number line, and I'm going to go up 3. Go up 1, 2, 3. That gives me negative 1. Okay, 2 negatives. The way I think about that is you're undoing something. I think 6 take away negative 2 is a bit like saying I was given 2 penalty points. Okay, I was given 2 penalty points, so I had a score. You don't know what that score was, but I was given 2 penalty points. Okay, 2 penalty points. So take away 2, and I'm now on 6. Then the referee said, well, actually, no, wait a minute. I'm going to undo that. I'm going to take away those 2 penalty points. So obviously, I was on 8 before then, wasn't I? I was on 8. So he gave me 2 penalty points because 8 adds negative 2 is the same as 8 take away 2, which is 6. But then I said, oh no, wait a minute. I've made a mistake. I'm going to take away those 2 penalty points. So that's then the same as 6 plus 2, which is equal to 8. So you want to remember that a negative and a negative give you a positive, but only when they're right next to each other. So for example, I was to say negative 3 take away 4, you wouldn't say 2 negatives make a positive. They would have to be next to each other. That is still just negative 3 taking away 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, to give me negative 7. Okay, so first thing I would remember is the first number on a sum like this is where you start on the number line, and the second number is what you're going to go up or down on the number line. If you add, you're going up. If you take away, you go down. So that's our first step. The next thing to remember is if you add a negative, it becomes a negative. And if you take away a negative, it becomes a positive. And then you're back to just square one. 6 plus 2, we know we're going up the number line 2. Negative 4 plus 3, I start on negative 4, and I'm going to add 3. So you might want to draw your line in. That's totally fine. Draw it left to right, draw up and down. That might help. And also you can visualize it thinking of the counters as well. So 4 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives. That's negative 4 plus 3. Well, if I've got 3 positives, that's 1, 2, and 3. Positives and negatives cancel each other out, so they cancel, and they cancel. I'm then just left with 1 negative, which is why the answer is negative 1. So you can visualize it with little counters as well. Okay, I hope that was helpful, and happy studies.